the only non-RPG reason to own a PlayStation Vita. Now on PlayStation 4, so even less reason to own a PlayStation Vita.
What's a Vita?
It means life.
It's funny because it's true, but that's not because the Vita's. It's not directly because the Vita's offerings were slim. This is a legitimately pretty awesome game, and the sequel on PS2, PS4, PS4 is also worth.
Such a fantastic game. They released a sequel for the previous console.
I'll tell you what, though, this opening with the apple no longer makes any fucking sense at all when you're playing this on a console, because when you were on a Vita, you were supposed to tap the screen to knock the apple off the tree.
That's some early Nintendo DS stuff right there. Like Phantom Hourglass having to close the DS in order to stamp the book kind of crap. Oh man, yeah. I love that. I love gimmicky crap.
Most of the other gameplay stuff translates fine to just having the PlayStation 4's controller with a gyroscope inside it, but that one moment was really tailored to starting the game up on the Vita. And it was just a nice little moment to start the game on, is all. It's nothing critical. It just doesn't make any design sense anymore now that it's not on a handheld,
So what kind of game is this? Because I've heard the name Gravity Rush, but I don't know what it is.
It's unfortunately one of those you have to classify it in the super generic action adventure sort of style.
Yeah, it's pretty unique. It doesn't really tie itself down to a genre. It's there's a lot more moving about the environment and jumping and moving around. But it's not really a platformer. Yeah, it's
But there's combat, but it's not like a God of War game.
Yeah, it's very much its own thing. You won't find pretty much anything like Gravity Rush. Well, you might find a few things like Gravity Rush, but they're probably cheapo knockoffs. I should say. It's unfortunately. Another thing that doesn't quite fit now that it's been moved to consoles is that the story presentation's a bit wooden.
Wooden and a bit PlayStation 2-y.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. That just unfortunately happens whenever games get ported from a handheld to.
Final Fantasy Type 0, which was a PlayStation portable game, is the exact same way on its PS4 version.
Yeah. Way earlier, but Trauma Center on DS and Wii had that same issue.
It's just it's got its good cutscenes, but most of the scenes are like still frame story conversation scenes, which made a hell of a lot more sense when it was an early PS Vita game. You could forgive that because it was the early days of having games even look this good at all on handhelds. So yeah,
you also had to accommodate lack of volume on because of public spaces and all that. So.
Yeah.
Listen, I know you got to protect your intellectual properties, but if you include trademark or copyright or patent pen in the fucking logo, it takes me out of it.
Hey, okay. Hey, whenever a toy product is describing itself, they have to put those trademark symbols next to every word that has one associated with it. Mm-hmm. So there's like 5 or 6 per paragraph. That
character selection screen for the Dragon Ball Budokai games has a fucking registered trademark on every character's name.
It's funnier to me though when some characters can be trademarked and some can't. Like whenever you read a Nintendo thing, and they're talking about Mario characters, like Mario and Bowser will be trademarked, but Luigi won't be, and stuff like that. It's always I find that really, really funny.
Because they're like big names as part of the branding identity.
Yeah,
it's kind of silly. In any case, our protagonist, Kat, she opens up on one of the hackneyed things, amnesia plot. That's where we start. The story pulls it off relatively well. Oh yeah, they have this comic book style thing going on too, which is kind of nice.
It actually at least helps the presentation a little bit.
Yeah.
Is this like secretly a spiritual successor to Comic Zone?
No.
Of course, the comic book art style in this kind of makes me think of those lower budget sort of indie comics more so than your DC and your Marvel.
I think they're trying to go for manga.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Somewhat. It's not quite anime, though.
It's one of those weird.
Also, it's in color. Also, it's in color, which immediately takes me out of the manga feeling, if you know what I mean.
Are no manga? I know that a lot of manga are black and white, but are none of them?
Yeah, there's color.
It's like
there's
okay,
color manga.
if you get
there's some, but not many.
if you get the Shonen Jump magazine or like larger special edition volumes of the graphic novels, sometimes like the first 3 or 4 pages, or maybe the first 5 pages of a particularly important issue will be in color. But for the most part, it's all black and white. Anyway, this is one of the most interesting things about this game is the setting. It's basically this big old city on a bunch of floating islands. It's very interesting.
If you're looking for any answers for how anything works in this game, don't.
Well, all right. So I never played this game before. I'm literally watching this for the first time.
Same.
With this commentary. And I do have already a critique. Now, I know this was most likely intentional given the hardware or the style of the game, but it seems like this game really wants you to pay attention more to its settings and environments than it do the actual character model. So they went for a very simple looking model, but it is. I think it's a little too simple, if that's a way of putting it.
It's a kind of open sandboxy game on the Vita, early Vita. So they were making definite performance allowances to make sure that it ran smoothly on that. You know?
What I mean, yeah, but I feel though more effort was definitely placed on environments and all this thing. Which I know something of this game's like gameplay and what you do, so I understand why. But it's like I look at the character models and I squint my eyes a bit and I swear they're like walking Play-Doh figures.
Well, thankfully, Gravity Rush 2 doesn't quite have that problem.
There aren't that many scenes where you're that close up.
Ah, shit, turned off gravity again.
On them. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there
Who
goes
forgot to pay the gravity bill? I've been waiting to say that line
manly
since
way.
this video started.
No, sorry, I got my Gex 2 quotes mixed up.
Can we not make any Wicked references during this commentary? Okay, thanks.
So yeah, here's our main gimmick of the gameplay. We can control our own gravity.
Yeah, walk on various surfaces or just float around and plummet directly toward whatever you want in any direction. It's really,
a developer
really fun.
got really high and said, what if we had a game where you can activate debug mode at will?
I mean, functionally, yes.
It sort of is. He's not wrong. But the thing about this game is that it controls both with the gyroscope and the analog sticks. So what you're actually supposed to do is use the analog stick to point yourself in the general direction of where you're going, and then use the gyroscope for fine aiming.
You don't really need to use the gyroscope that much for that. You have a lot. You're like later when we'll be getting to like the gravity dive kick and stuff. You have a lot more leeway than you think you do.
Yeah. The thing about the game though is you could be forgiven for thinking at the beginning of the game that you're supposed to control yourself primarily with the gyroscope, but that's kind of a false start. You don't need the gyroscope all that much, and it actually is quite a lot more awkward to control yourself exclusively with the gyroscope, whether you're playing it on a console or a handheld. If you were controlling it exclusively with the gyroscope, though, well, it would be an affair sort of like those Sonic Lost World special stages on 3DS.
You see, I've kind of found that it's generally most games with gyro aiming. It's kind of the gyro part's usually for precision, and the stick is what you use for broader movements.
It's kind of a substitute for what the PC would do with just a mouse, you know. So,
we'll be getting into more free range motion. This is just telling you. This is how you're supposed to point the thing.
When did this game come out?
On the I think it was like a first
original release.
What was the year the Vita was released?
Like I think it was 2012.
I mean, Ryan, did it ever come out?
I can look it up.
It was like 2012, 2013.
Well, either way, this is one of those games that didn't get as much attention as it deserved. I wonder why. I would blame that on the platform. But
it is a shame though that the Vita never took off because the 3DS.
It came out in 2012.
Yeah, because something that people tend not to remember is that the 3DS's start was almost as rough as the Wii U's was. Not quite that bad, but there was like a good year and a half where there was basically nothing to play on it but like Pilot Wings and Ocarina of Time 3D.
True, but it also had the entire DS library to bank on.
Yes.
Can't you play PSP stuff on? Oh wait, there's nothing on PSP either.
Only digital. You could only play PSP games digitally. The Vita does not have the UMD drive.
Oh, so if you had bought PSP games before, you couldn't even use those PSP games.
That put former PSP owners in a bit of a position, because you probably bought a lot of your PSP games physical because of limited memory stick space, unless you jumped on the system late and had a bigger memory stick. At that point, you wouldn't have much on your PSN account when you get a Vita. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Now, this guy right here, this guy pisses me the fuck off. Okay, so the house lands on a slanted roof and slides up. And the house slides away. She was trying to catch it. And then, like, this guy, we just saved his son. Like, both the kid and the guy are like, give us our house back. What did you just do?
To be fair, to at least be a bit fair to the kid, he's like 4.
Yeah, but...
Oh, you know...
What? You literally just rescued this kid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for rescuing me. Yeah, no problem. I'm part of the X-Men. Oh man, I hate you guys.
Yeah, you fucking twat. Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty much that. There is some strong prejudice against gravity shifters. I haven't finished this game, so I'm not.
Well, I really hope the plot isn't trying to save this world or town, because that's one way of making me not give a shit.
Sort of.
No, John, we have to be better. We have to be better than them. You know what? We have to protect a world that hates and fears.
Well, you know, it's not like everyone is like that. So you know.
No, I figured that much, but it's like, if you want me to save these people, it's more to throw you
off at this point in the story, because Kat has no idea what a gravity shifter is or why people would dislike them. So
also, this game has a very weird faux French language thing going on.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. They kind of use it like the languages in Mario Odyssey, to be honest. Where,
I was gonna say, is it like Star Fox Adventures, where they have their own language, but then break into perfect English?
No, there's no perfect English parts though.
Yeah, oh, damn.
I thought they were speaking Japanese, but I guess that's...
It's a weird fake French thing.
So, I forget what the role of the Star Kitten plays, but basically all the gravity shifters have like these celestial animal companion things. So...
Wait, yeah, he's got a trainer to become Sailor Moon.
Yeah, so yours is Star Kitten.
Star. All right.
It probably has a name. The Crow is another one. And, you know, they probably did the whole memory loss thing and an air of mystery thing for the plot because they knew...
Because they have no idea what's going on.
Well, because they knew when writing this that if you already disliked the people of the city from the beginning, that then just save the city wouldn't be motivation enough for you to continue the plot. So they gave you something else to latch onto if that didn't grab you. So you've got a couple points of interest here. It's a pretty good story.
The cat's name is apparently Dusty.
Well, we named it Dusty.
Oh, you named it Dusty, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why she named it Dusty. Was it Stardust? Yeah, Stardust.
That's the closest thing I can think of.
Let's go with that.
You know, the amnesia thing, though, it's like I know that it's the world's most stock video game. I don't know. It's like I guess it's never bothered me as much as, like, you know, you can make fun and all that, but it's never bothered me too much.
It's kind of like another version of the self-insert protagonist. If you put yourself in the shoes of a character who doesn't remember who they are or how they got there, you put that character.
You learn as they learn.
Yeah, you learn as they learn. It's the Tidus effect from Final Fantasy X. You know.
It certainly makes exposition a lot easier to do in context of
more justified.
As you know.
You give the character a reason to have things explained to them so that you can explain things to the player. It's it's got its merits, and it's certainly better than certain other games that I could mention that tried to have fully established characters and just dropped the ball completely. Final Fantasy 13.
You see, here's what I want though. One day, I want a game where you play as an amnesiac character, but none of once you uncover their memories, none of them have anything to do with the larger plot. It's just like, oh yeah, I was a mailman. Okay, that's great, but what does that have to do with saving the princess from the dragon? Nothing. I was just a mailman.
I think my favorite amnesiac protagonist of all time is Max from Shining Force 1, whose amnesia is so inconsequential that they cut it out of the American version and just had him be a plain old silent protagonist.
Wow,
and
really?
It changed nothing.
Wow. That's amazing.
They put it back in the Game Boy Advance remake, though. So,
How good was the translation on the Genesis? Because I know that's from an era where...
It's okay. It was okay, you know.
All right. I know.
It's not a very story-heavy game, so it works fine, you know. It's just kind of basic.
Okay.